Hey there. So I just wanted to record this video sort of for posterity to show how I apply the principle of a 6-month review of a business to my own business. So for those of you who don't know, I send out a cool new free strategy every single month inside a subscription box to all of my members. And this month, since it's June, the Inner Circle Secret was all about how to do a 6-month review of your business. So this is a successful action that I learned when I was working for a very prestigious consulting firm in Portland. And they do this every year. I started doing it not only in January every year with my clients, but also at the 6-month mark in June, and found that we were getting better results by doing it twice a year. So the very first step is it says review the goals you had set for this year, marking which ones are done, which ones still need to be hit. So I'm going to do this on my own business. Like I said, I've been doing this every 6 months, and it really helps to motivate me in my business. So I'm using for my time management and my goal setting and my targets and whatnot, I'm using my guide to time management. Sorry, I'm really loud car outside. My time management for busy business owners, it's a planner that you can download. It's also got a printed version that you can buy for like $60 or something like that I created. And we're going to look at the goals that I set back in January. So I wrote, by the end of 2022, I will be making 100K in profit in my coaching business, working less than 20 hours a week, and be helping successful business owners consistently do the same. I also want to go clear and recertify as a class 5 auditor. These are just Scientology goals that I have. Get all sexy and fit. I've been making progress on losing weight. Straighten and whiten my smile. I got my Invisalign, right? And I'm making progress on that. Create a wedding venue business. I bought a 15-acre farm. I'm on my way to accomplish that. Advocate for human rights in Kansas City and around the world, support it financially. I started my 14th human rights group right here in Kansas City. We've gotten it off the ground and rolling. I've been into a couple schools and whatnot. And publish Alicina, my next young adult fantasy novel, and become a bestseller with a large email list, a game, a website, and an Instagram following. Okay, so these are pretty big goals to all accomplish in a single year. But as you can see, I'm well on my way for some of them. We're going to review the income goals next and see how close I've gotten so far. But those are my goals I set for the year. So first thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to mark off which goals I have done and which ones I'm in progress on. So pretty much all of these are in progress right now. The ones that are off target are my Scientology goals. I haven't been putting enough time into my church and into spirituality, so I need to work on that. Get sexy and fit. I kind of fell off bandwagon for a while, but then for the last month or two, I've been really making good progress, and I'm starting to see the weight loss and see some toned and whatnot. So I would say I'm on target for that one. Straight and whiten my smile. I'm definitely on target for that one. By the end of this year, I should have completely straight white teeth, which I'm really excited about. Create a wedding venue business. I'm definitely on track for that. I bought the property, which was unbelievably exciting, and now we're in the process of renovating. So that's definitely on track for this year. Advocate for human rights. I became the chapter leader for here in Kansas City, and I've already been to a couple schools and just networking with opinion leaders and whatnot and politicians. So definitely that's on track. Publish Alicina. I'm more than halfway through the manuscript, the novel I'm writing. So that's pretty much on track. Building an email list as an author, creating my own game, website, and Instagram following. Those are totally not on track. I'm very much behind on that stuff. And then the last goal, as I said before, was make 100K in profit in my business. And we're going to look at that one next. So the next step says, reassess your 3-year goals and reaffirm how this year makes them possible. So basically, my 3-year goals include going OT as a Scientologist. So that one's definitely not on track right now. I need to get that back on track. Have $1 million business. So I'm definitely on track for that one. And I think the other goals are all really personal, but, possibly having kids. Ben and I have a couple of other personal goals that we're trying to hit, and we need to hit our financial and income goals and scale back to 20 hours a week in order to make those goals happen. So right now, the target that's the most off track is the 20 hours a week. I'm definitely working a lot more than that right now with the renovation of our house, the renovation of our wedding venue and trying to run my own online business. So just got a lot on my plate right now, and that's definitely making it so that my 3-year goals are not happening. So it says reaffirm how this year makes them possible. So usually what I do right here is just kind of a little bit of a journaling exercise. I'm not going to pause this video to do that, but I would normally take this little space that it has, or if that's not enough, then I would take out my actual notebook and do a journaling exercise and kind of say to myself, okay, how does accomplishing what I have to accomplish this year make that possible, and just kind of motivate myself to actually get there and make it happen. So that's a practice in just positive inner dialogue, right? The more we tell ourselves we can't do something, the more true that becomes. The more we tell ourselves we can do something, the more true that becomes. So whatever it is you tell yourself ends up being the truth for you, right? So the next step is exciting. This says compile your business numbers for the year so far. So I'm going to show you guys what this looks like inside Use My Stats. So here we are inside the program. And as you guys can see, my numbers are really awesome compared to last year. So just for those of you who use usemystats.com, just like I do, to track your numbers, which is all of my inner circle members, all of my clients use this. These are the settings that I use. So the first thing I did is I went to the graph I wanted to look at, which in this case is coaching calls delivered. That's my Division 4 graph. It's my delivery graph, my delivery system, right? That's how I'm tracking it. For some of you guys, depending on your industry, right, I have you tracking different numbers. So it's fine if this is a different number than yours, right? But I go to custom range. I change it to be January of this year compared to now, right? June of this year. I add in labels, accumulating, and overlay prior year. And then once you clicked all of those settings, you want to hit the regraph stat, and it'll look like this. So this is an accumulation, right? Month after month after month. And you can see my growth has been pretty significant. So we're going to plug in the numbers now and see what they look like. So for me, I've got 106 client calls. That's just like actual coaching sessions I've done so far this year, compared to 56 this time last year, right? And then it says compared to the first half of last year. So we're doing a comparison of this half of the year to last year, the same time. And then it says determine the amount of change in each of these numbers from last year to this year, both as numerical change and also as a percent change. So 56 to 106, that's 50 more, right? So I've done 50 more calls. And then I also want to go to percentagecalculator.net, right? And go from 56 to 106 and calculate the percentage. So that's a 89% growth over last year. That's pretty incredible, right? But that's just my delivery. Let's see how my revenue and income compares to that. So we're going to go down to income. So this is the one that I think is off track, but let's see what it looks like. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So this time last year, because this business was brand new, right? This time last year, it had cumulatively made $9,861. I'm going to write that down. And this year so far, cumulatively, I've done $28,339. So obviously that's insane growth. You can already tell, right? But I don't think it's on track to where it needs to be, but it's still very good growth. So let's take a look at how much that is exactly. 9, calculate. Yeah, so already so far this year, I've had 187% growth over this time last year, which is pretty crazy, but it's still not on target for where I want it to be, but it's still pretty good. So that's good to know. And then the last one was client starts. So that's the other one, the major one that I like to look at, major starts compared to last year. This one, I think, yeah, this one's growth has not been as spectacular because my major starts are pretty major, right? Like that's a 10K program most of the time, but that's okay. So I had 9 last year. So far this year, I've had 15, right? So that is a growth of 4, right? But let's see what it compares to percentage wise. So typically when you're talking about like $1 million business, like when we get into real scale numbers, we're looking at things like 10% growth year on year or 20 or 30% growth year on year. The reason why mine are astronomical is because my business is brand new. So obviously it's going to scale more quickly. And little amounts of money added are going to look really big, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? The proof is in how much revenue actually not only I make, but I also get to keep. So, how much my profit is. But good. So these are pretty good numbers. I mean, that was a 66% increase, right? So having done that, the next thing we're going to do, hold on, let me get back to my screen. Good. Now that I've looked at how my business compared to last year, same time, right? Now I want to draw up the vision of what your business and lifestyle should look like. So what does an ideal day look like for you, right? So my ideal day would probably be something, I'm just going to tell you instead of writing it down because you can't see what I'm writing. My ideal day would probably be I wake up around 9 or 10, which I am doing, right? I get about an hour or two to exercise, wake up, spend time with my husband, probably go for a walk or do some kind of outdoor activity. And then I'm hitting work around 10 or 11 a.m. So that's an ideal day for me. Right now I have that, right? What I don't have is then, my ideal day would be filled with coaching sessions throughout the day, running my team to handle social media, to drive traffic into my business, running my team to do the bookkeeping, things like that. I'm still doing a lot of those things myself right now, but ideally I would have a team who's managing that for me. I do have one social media manager and I have one virtual assistant basically. So she does do some of that for me, but I don't have any real social media manager in place yet. So that would be an ideal day for me. My ideal day would also probably end somewhere around 3 or 4. Instead of right now, it's kind of ending around 8 or midnight. Not because I'm working on this business necessarily, but because I'm working on my house, I'm working on renovations, I'm trying to establish myself in Kansas City, etc. Right? So that's an ideal day for me. So that's the next step in the workbook is write that out, right? What does my ideal day look like? Then calculate the monthly goals you must hit to ultimately attain your New Year goals. So my goal was 100K in profit, which means I need about 200K roughly, give or take, in revenue. Right now, I'm way off for that, right? As you saw, I think I'm running at about 28, probably by now, because we're halfway through June, I'm probably closer to like 35K for the year in revenue. So I'm way off from my 200K mark. So let's just do the calculation. I'm curious. So let's look at a calculator, just a normal calculator this time. If I want to hit, sorry, I know you guys can't see what I'm doing. Let's look. There we go. Okay, so if I want to hit 200K minus the 35K I've done already, right? So that means I need another 165K. Divide that by the next 6.5 months. So I basically need to be hitting, 25,000 a month. So that's like 2 major starts for me plus, it's 2 major starts for me plus adding a few inner circle members. So it's very doable. What needs to be cracked in my business, I already know, is the lead generation and traffic being driven into my funnels. Because once I get the traffic in my funnels, I usually get a good percentage of sales. It's just driving that traffic has been interesting recently. So that is what I need to be hitting right now is 25K a month in my business, right? And just then, like I said, breaking that down to how many sales is that? So for me, that would be probably like 2 to 3 inner circle members added per month, and definitely a solid 2 major starts. Major starts for me are starts into the business lounge, which is a 10K 6-month program, right? So I would want about 2 of those a month plus some inner circle members added, and I would be at my goal. So the next step says update your annual redline graphs for each. So we have a redline graph, which is simply when we're looking at that graph right here, right? They're adding a red line, which I don't think I have here. obviously this one's green, this one's black. The red line is the quota line. So you can go in under enter values, single stat entry, right? Let's just choose client coaching calls delivered. Okay, good. So I could set a quota each month for this. So I would change the date to the end of the year. Okay. Hit the change date button. Now all the future months are going to show up. And then over here, I would set a quota, right? So let's do this. I'm curious. Let's just do this for income. Good. So June, 25,000, right? Now, since I want it to be the same one each time, I'm just going to click this copy button. I'm just going to hit the copy button for all the remaining months and hit save. Now I have a quota for the rest of the year, right? And that's going to show up as a red line graph on my graph. So if I go to, well, here, let's do, no, we'll just leave it that way. Okay, so let's do single stat graph. I'm going to show you what this red line graph looks like, right? Oh, that's not what I wanted it to look like. Let's go to income. Good. And let's add in the quotas. And we'll do current year. Good. So that's what I want my income to do for the rest of the year. That's my quota. So instead of going across, I want it to start going boom, right? And that's what a red line graph does, is it shows you graphically whether your black line, which is where you are now, is above or below your quota line. Okay. And that can be very moralizing or demoralizing depending on whether you're hitting that quota. Good. So that's how we do a 6-month review. Now, the last step, last page, is if you have a team. So I have a team, but they're virtual assistants. They're not really employees, so I don't have like staff meetings with them necessarily. But if I did, I would call together the whole team, right, for about a good hour, 45 minutes to an hour, sit them all down. And the first thing I would do is I would ask them to come to the meeting prepared to talk about what they've done so far this year that they feel has been successful in pushing forward the mission and purpose of the team, and what they feel so far this year they've seen either on their own or in other areas that has not been successful, right? That they would like to improve on, or that they have ideas. Now, it always has to be a creative idea. I never let a junior come to the team meeting with a problem and no solution. That's a big no-no, right? So once we get all together, we're going to follow this checklist. It says review the year and any major changes, accomplishments, or positives the year. Obviously, we want to keep the whole meeting positive as much as possible. So I'm going to show them those graphs. Sometimes if I'm concerned about the team knowing about our financials, I'll just remove all of the numbers off the graph and they just see the line, and that's fine, right? But we're going to review the year, see what's doing well right now, what's not. For us, even though the growth has been fantastic, it's not where it needs to be. So I would talk about, hey, congratulations, everybody cheer for the fact that the income is way above where it was last year. Good. Now, don't give up yet. We have a long way to go. And I would show them that second graph I showed you, the red line graph, where it shows how far off we are from the goal. I would definitely show them that graph too. Then show them, go over all the successful actions that you saw and acknowledge your team for their contributions. So I would go around the room and have everybody stand up and say, here's what I've been working on recently. Here's what's been working. Here's what has not been working. Here's what I'm doing about it if it's not working. Here's my creative solution for things that I see within the team that we could improve. And then they sit down, and the next person, right? Good. And then, oh yeah, I forgot this part. And then also tell us their professional goals for the year. So my professional goal from now to the end of the year is I want to accomplish X, Y, Z, right? So if they're a receptionist, maybe they want to get more organized by the end of the year, or maybe they want to, have mastered treatment acceptance, or, have their sales closing rate be at 10% higher than it is now, or something like that. Like, they should each be assigning themselves a goal or a target for what they want to accomplish by the end of the year. And that's one of the things that they announce to the team, so the team can help them stay accountable, but so that we can also cheer them on, right? Then go over each of your core values. This is you as the business owner doing this now, right? So what are your core values? Mine are compassion, human rights is a core value of mine, right? Honesty, integrity, exchange level 4 to our clients, which simply means, if you're not familiar with the term, it means like abundance in exchange, right? So having an abundance mindset towards our clients so that they get better than expected results. That's one of our core values. So you're going to go over each core value, ask team members to share stories of how those values were expressed this year. So I would say, okay, let's say compassion. All right, guys, so our first core value is compassion. Who can give me an example of a story they saw or an instance they saw of someone else applying compassion to this year so far, right? And so I get them to kind of find real life examples of that core value in their everyday lives. And that's the whole point, is to drive home these core values and make sure that we're expressing them, right? Next, share your company mission. Remind the team that numbers only measure progress in the direction of the company mission. So, right, when we're talking about income and we're talking about numbers and we're talking about quotas, it's important to always tie it back to the purpose. If we start to talk about the money as though the money were the most important thing, we are going off purpose as a company, right? So our whole entire business has a purpose. It has a mission, right? For me, my mission is to help entrepreneurs and business owners to be able to relax, to have a life outside of their business, right? Because I had the privilege of growing up in a family that was like that. My father's a successful business owner. He's making, multi-million-dollar business, but he also always had time for me. He always took the time to do fun things for me, to show up in my life. And I have seen so many times when business owners are burning out because they don't have that, right? So that's the mission and the driving purpose behind my business. And I want my team to be on the same page about that. I want them to care about our clients and care about them succeeding, not only in profitability, but also in reducing their time in the business, right? So that's our mission. And so when we have a team meeting, we're going to talk about that purpose and how the numbers we see and the income we're getting are simply a measurement of whether or not we're succeeding in that purpose, right? That's all that at the end of the day, those numbers are meant to represent, right? Tell your team, the company, goals for the rest of the year. So what do we want to accomplish the rest of the year? You don't have to go into your personal goals. A lot of the goals I set are personal because I'm the business owner, right? So I have a personal purpose for my business as well. But if I was talking to my team, I was talking about our business goals, right? How many clients we want to help this year, how much revenue we want to hit, how that translates into games and bonuses for them, right, etc. And then show them the monthly breakdown of the goal so they see that it's attainable. So it's only, like I said, it's only $25K per month from here on out to hit my goal. And that's literally only 4 sales a month, right? Not that hard. And reward games you worked out so they buy into it. So again, we want to be making sure that when we hit quotas, the team has a game around that, meaning there's a bonus, there's some kind of reward, etc. So they really feel like motivated to hit it. Not because we want people to be money motivated all the time, but because that money is an acknowledgement of how well they did, right? We want to make sure they feel acknowledged, they feel appreciated, etc. So that is the 6-month review that we do every single year with my high ticket clients. And I wanted you guys to see how it's done, how I do it in my own business. It does add motivation. It does help you to see that you're on track. It definitely helped me when I did it this time to look and realize that even though I'm like totally off track for where I want to be, I am killing it compared to last year. Like that's definitely making me feel a little bit better right now. And I hope that watching this video someday helps you too. All right. Thank you so much.